Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with the shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances to his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 10, entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, text number 1. So yeah, we've just finished the 9th chapter. Very important verse, the final verse of the 9th chapter, explaining that if we do 4 things, then Krishna promises that we can go back to Godhead, come back to him. So those 4 things, what are they? What are the 4 things that pleases Krishna to the point that he promises that?
Always, thinking of me and become my devotee, and worship me and listen to the Abhicharan class.
Hey, you're throwing in extras.
Definitely, that's the first, isn't it?
That's it. That's must. If you don't listen to the class, I won't know these 4 things anyway.
I know. If we don't attend the class, we won't know about the 4 things. Yeah,
that's right.
So your hearing is, that's why 9 processes of devotional service. Hearing, Shravanam, is the first one. Very important. Because if you don't hear, then you won't even know that you should chant. You won't even, the kirtan is the second one. Actually, the kirtan is the one this is the Yuga Dharma, the process recommended for liberation in Kali Yuga. The Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga is Harinam Sankirtan, to come together and, like Deepa did on Sunday, come together and chant the holy name of the Lord. But we won't even know about that process if you don't hear about it. So first of all, you hear about it, and then you can actually chant and then become liberated. And then the final one is to offer our obeisances to Krishna. So that means like physically bowing down, like we go to the temple, we physically bow down to the Lord. And also bowing down to the devotee of the Lord, like in the temple. Actually, when we go to the temple, the etiquette is even before you bow down to the deities, you should go to Prabhupada and bow down to Prabhupada first. You bow down to Guru first and then bow down to Krishna. One time Prabhupada said, I'm collecting obeisances. So what does that mean? Prabhupada's saying, the Guru is saying, I'm collecting obeisances. What does it mean to collect obeisances?
He's collecting to pass it on.
Pass it on, yeah. Like if you have a debt collector, right? You have a debt collector. So, you have some debt to the government. You have a debt to the government or some organization. Then he'll collect that and then he'll pass it on to the government. He's not going to keep it himself. He's just the collector. So the same way, you offer your obeisance to Prabhupada, and that respect that you're given to the Guru, that respect will get passed on to Krishna.
Actually, also when people enter the temple, they bow down. There is that they also have, if there are that's because there are other devotees, then they'll bow down. Something like that, no?
What are you saying?
As soon as you ring the bell and you enter, you bow down. No, generally you bow down and then you go to Prabhupada and then you bow down to Prabhupada like that.
You can bow down 100 times, 1,000 times, whatever you like, but at least you should bow down to the Guru and then Prabhupada and then bow down to the deities. And in some temples, like if you've got many sets of deities, like they'll have one altar for Gaunitai, one altar for Radha Krishna, one altar for Jagannath, or it could be, in some temples they don't have Jagannath, they have Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, like in Juhu, or in other temples they have Srinathji, like that. So in ISKCON, I'm talking about ISKCON temples. So in some cases, and Prabhupada himself did this, if there was 3 altars, Prabhupada would bow down to each altar. So bow down 3 times, one to each set of deities, so that can be done. But Jain is saying you could take it a step further. You step into the room and then you bow down straight away, and then you go down to Prabhupada. Yeah, I mean, you can bow down unlimitedly if you want.
To do, I mean, that's how I think we've kind of. But now, I mean, what was the purpose? I'm asking, because nobody tells you anything. You just see other people are doing, so you do like that. No, it's serious. I'm not joking.
I know.
I mean, that's how it is really.
I mean, the whole temple is sacred. It's said even the floor of the temple is an expansion of Balaram. That's far out, isn't it? So even the floor of the temple is an expansion of Balaram. So yeah, you can bow down to the floor if you want, so you bow down to all the other Vaishnavas also. But two is minimum. Two is minimum. You bow down to the Guru, to Prabhupada, and then you bow down to the deities like that. And interestingly, there was one famous sort of rock and roll musician named Boy George. He's still living, as far as I know.
yeah,
Boy George.
yeah.
Bow
Boy
down,
George.
mister.
He wrote a famous song called "Bow Down, Mister." But what's interesting about that song is why he wrote that song, "Bow Down, Mister," and that was because he developed a habit that when he would travel around the world, he would, whichever place he was, he would go to the nearest ISKCON temple. He had an attraction for going to temples, ISKCON temples. I don't know where that started, but somehow he got an attraction for ISKCON temples. So if he was going to, Los Angeles, he would go to the Los Angeles ISKCON temple. If he went to Mumbai, he would go to Juhu Temple. He went to Vrindavan, he would go. So when he'd been around all the temples around the West, right? Then he went to some ISKCON temples in India. And he noticed very peculiarly, because in the other temples, he always noticed that people would come in, they would bow down. But when he went to India, to the ISKCON temples, he noticed that many of the guests coming into the temple did not bow down. They didn't bow down. And which is a shame that, many Indians have even lost their own culture of like one part of the culture is to bow down when you go into the temple. So they just walk into the temple, have a look around like it's like you're just sightseeing sort of thing, just sightseeing around, and then walk out again without even bowing down. So then he wrote that song, "Bow Down, Mister."
And that's got Hare Krishna in it.
And it's got the Hare Krishna Maha mantra in the song as well, so a special song. But yeah, that's how that came about when he went to Indian temples and he saw that the people weren't bowing down.
I don't think it was just ISKCON temple. I think Indian just Hindu temple.
No. He would go to ISKCON temples. He really liked ISKCON temples.
It was not a Hindu. He didn't write that song after seeing a Hindu temple.
He was going to ISKCON temples in India and seeing that people weren't bowing down.
Yeah.
And I've seen that too, like that. So, but no, that's very important.
Gokula we used to see.
I know, of course. Yeah. Yeah. But no, that's very important.
You know why is that? Why is that?
Why Indians? Actually, why a lot of Indians don't bow down?
Yeah, what is the reason?
It's ignorance, no?
Yeah, ignorance and pride. A combination of ignorance and pride, I'd say.
I've noticed in the, from what I know from my experience, not the ISKCON temples, but just the regular, the Hindu temples where, that I grew up going to, there's not this practice. Only after the Abhishek and all that, and that's only when everybody bows down, but otherwise enter and leave, they don't bow down. That hasn't been my observation. For the temples.
Also, in South Indian temples, usually once you enter the sanctum, once you enter the sanctum sanctorum, generally people won't bow down there. You have to come outside near the Dvajastambham, which is the flag post. So there only, once you come out there, that's where everybody will bow down. So even when you enter the temple,
something like
first,
that.
because the flag post will come first. So you bow down there. And then you go inside the temple. Actually, inside the temple, those sanctums are very small. Usually, in South Indian temples, you see like that. Like Tirupati temple, where you will bow down.
We can actually go.
When we talk about detail only. When I say something, it is not detail.
You're talking about ISKCON temple. There's no flag. There's no flagpole in ISKCON temple.
ISKCON temple is different.
But see,
ISKCON
one big
is
problem in modern times in India has been very affected by Mayavad philosophy, by impersonalism. So many Indians are falsely taught by the Mayavadi sannyasis and gurus that everyone's God, you know. And if I'm God, why do I need to bow down? Like that. So that's a disease, and that pride is there. Okay, you're God, I'm God, everyone's God. So why does God need to bow down to another God? You don't need to do that. So
it directly says like that.
but they preach like that everyone's God. They preach like that. So you're God, I'm God. So why do I need to bow down if I'm God? So that's definitely can have an effect too.
Have you been to Bhagavad temple?
Yes.
How crowded is that? Have you seen that?
So yeah, also maybe no space to bow down.
It's no way. So that's why they used to, but there's no way you can.
You might get squashed if you bow down. Is that what you're saying?
Get squashed. That's why they don't bow down. As simple as. But then ISKCON is like a big temple, but their habit is like that. In that, oh my God, once you're down, you want to make it up.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good place to get squashed. You'll go back to Godhead if you get squashed in there.
When we were in Mayapur, also God, it is so crowded, but somehow other people were still all for bow down.
So yeah, bow down, but be careful when you're bowing down that you don't people trip over you.
That's right. This is another reason that the Indian doesn't bow down, because you won't get up.
Yes, won't be able to get up. Okay, so let's read the Sanskrit for this first verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Why not it says Krishna's Vacha? Why did it say Bhagavan Vacha? Why don't say Krishna's Vacha?
Prabhupada brings up that point, that why doesn't it say Krishna Uvacha, why it says Bhagavan Uvacha? Because if it says Krishna Uvacha, you might just take it that he's an ordinary person, say Jayanti Uvacha, Bhai Uvacha. It says Arjuna Uvacha. So it says Arjuna Uvacha, so, but why, when it comes to Krishna speaking, why doesn't it say Krishna Uvacha? Just so that people know that Krishna's God, because Bhagavan means God. Bhaga means opulences, and Van means one who possessing opulences. So we've discussed before, there's 6 opulences, and this is the definition of God according to one great sage named
Can't hear
Parashamuni.
Abhi Prabhu.
Huh? What's that?
I can hear
What's
you.
That?
Okay.
Can you hear?
Say I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Gulshan?
I can hear you. Okay.
Oh, you can hear.
But,
can you hear now, Deepa? Deepa, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anyway, hopefully she'll come back. You there, Deepa? Hare Krishna? Yeah, so according to one great sage named Parashamuni, then who is the father of Vyasadeva? The father of Vyasadeva, Parashamuni.
Parashara.
Parashara. How do you say? I've got my Sanskrit scholar beside me.
It's like, as long as you try
So
that.
you say it then. Go on.
Parashara Muni.
Parashara Muni.
But the
Bhakti Mala. Bhakti Mala's coming. Oh, good. Very good.
Krishna says that at least Abhicharan try. That's all that matters.
Krishna knows who I mean anyway.
That's right.
Hi, Hare Krishna.
Everybody's back.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti Mala. Nice to see you.
Yay!
Nice to see you
too.
Bhakti Mala, you say you couldn't able to join.
Krishna. Oh, I'm gonna have
Krishna decided.
I'm gonna have to take my computer to get it fixed, because I've been uninstalling and reinstalling the programs and nothing's working. So I'm on my phone now.
Yeah. See an expert.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So Gulshan just asked the question. We're doing the first verse of the 10th chapter now. Gulshan asked the question why it says Bhagavan Uvacha, why not Krishna Uvacha? Because Vyasadeva, who is compiling this into the written form, wants everyone to understand thoroughly that Krishna is not an ordinary person, he's God. So Bhagavan means God. So we said Bhaga means opulences, Van means one who possesses. So the definition of God is given by a great sage named Parasharamuni, who's the father of Vyasadeva. And he said that God is that person that possesses 6 opulences in full. So what are the 6 opulences?
Strength.
Fame. Jayanti said fame.
Fortune.
Then?
Fortune?
Yeah, fortune
Strength.
or wealth. Yep. Strength.
Right.
Yep. So we got
Beauty.
fame, wealth, strength, beauty,
Knowledge.
knowledge.
Yeah.
One more.
Renunciation.
Yeah, detachment or renunciation, vairagya. So it says what the person that possesses all six in full, completely, that person is Bhagavan, and that is God. God is that person that possesses all 6. And the only person that possesses all 6 is Krishna, like that. And we see that when Krishna descended to this earth, he displayed all 6 of those things. Unlimited beauty, unlimited wealth, knowledge, everything, renunciation.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also have these 6?
He's also God, ma.
Yeah, he's also God. Yes, definitely.
He's God.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got the same 6 opulences.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But he's not different.
But I
He's not
wouldn't
different
say,
to Krishna,
but the thing
correct?
is, he's coming in a disguise, in the disguise of a devotee. He's not coming to show that he's God. He's coming to show how to be a devotee. So he didn't fully display, for example, full wealth, because he's acting like a poor sannyasi, like that. But I mean, I would say that he couldn't hide his beauty. So I mean, even when he shaved his head as a sannyasi, he was still people would just faint seeing him. It said he would, if he offered his obeisances, right, to Jagannath or something, the stone would melt under his body. It's just radiating ecstasy and bliss, and the stones would melt. I mean, he's just so beautiful. He's just so captivating. When he went to the forest of Jarakanda and he was chanting Hare Krishna, if he happened to brush against a deer or some wild animal, the animal would start chanting Hare Krishna. It's just so just full of love for Krishna, like that. So some of those opulences, he couldn't hide it. But yeah, he was not trying to display that he was God, but he was trying to hide that.
He was in actor mode. He was
In actor
acting
mode,
as
yeah, he was undercover. You could say he was an undercover
yes,
God.
undercover. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, in one of the slokas in the Bhagavatam, it uses the word chana avatar. Chana avatar. No, not chanda, chana avatar. Chana avatar. And then I have got the Sanskrit right for that one. So chana avatar, which means he's an incarnation of God, but in disguise. In disguise, that's called chana avatar. That's why it's said that one of the Lord's names is Triyuga. Triyuga. So Tri is Sanskrit for 3. So in Yuga is ages. So he's known as Triyuga, means he's appearing in 3 ages. But hang on, there's 4 ages. you know, Satya Treta Dwapara. So why is he known in Tri Yuga? Does that mean he only comes in 3 yugas, not 4, and one of them he doesn't come? Actually, he comes in all 4, but in one of them he comes in a disguise form, and then people don't know that he's an avatar, and that's in Kali Yuga. He's coming as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's actually coming in 4 yugas, but he's fully displayed in 3 yugas, but undercover in disguise in the 1 yuga, and that's part of the reason is we're so proud in Kali Yuga that anyone that says that they're God, you know, you surrender to me, you know, we're such rebels, we don't want to listen to that. But what we are attracted to is someone acting in a very exemplary way. You know, there's setting a nice example. You know, like here, you know, like people don't like to be told what to do, but if you see someone doing something very nice, you get attracted. Like these walkers that are coming through now, I've had some really amazing feedback from some of them and saying that, you know, that we're just so inspired by how you're living such a simple, natural life and, you know, self-sufficient and everything like that. And we are very encouraged and inspired by that. And we want to also try to do what you're doing. And also whatever I say, they swallow it, you know, they accept it because they see I'm walking the talk and rather than just preaching so many things and not doing it, but I'm doing it, and that in itself is preaching in Kali Yuga. That if people see you doing something very exemplary, very inspiring like that, then they get attracted and they want to follow your example rather than just telling people what to do. In Kali Yuga, if you want to just tell people what to do, good luck, because we're so proud, you know, like that. So
You know,
he was,
talking of this Krishna coming, like Krishna having all the 6 opulences in full. But I mean, like the Bhagavatam and all, in the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned in like in the different avatars. They don't have all in full. So
correct.
in that way, can Chaitanya Mahaprabhu be considered like that? And that's why he may not have it all. I mean, he may not have all the opulences in full.
Are you saying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Hmm. Will it be like, can it be said in that same token that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then doesn't have all the opulences in full?
No, he does, but he's not displaying them. He does.
But like
He's Radha Krishna combined. He's Radha Krishna combined. He's fully Bhagavan. He's not any less. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is definitely not any less than Krishna, but he's just hiding. He's just hiding. I'll give you one example. One time, more than one time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one time he did it was to a great devotee, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He was an impersonalist in Jagannath Puri. He was the head priest in the temple. And then he became converted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I think he also displayed it to Ramananda Roy and then also to some Brahmana and different times. And what it's called is the form is called Sadbhuja. Have you heard of Sadbhuja before?
7 arm.
Sad means six. Six.
Six.
So
6
arms. Yeah. So 6. So do you know whose arms those arms are? And what he held in those 6 arms?
Oh, conch shell and
No.
one in the
No.
gada. No.
No. No, that's Narayan. That's Narayan. No, he
Oh,
wasn't displaying the arms of Narayan.
So
And 2 hands he held a bow and an arrow. So he was showing that he's Lord Rama. And then 2 hands he held a flute. He's showing that he's Krishna. And in 2 hands he held a water pot, a kamandalu, and The other hand, I'm not sure. But in the other two hands is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acting like a sannyasi. So sannyasis carry the water pot. Maybe he had japa beads in the other hand, I'm not sure. I can't remember the other hand. But yeah, two hands were the hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as acting as a sannyasi. Two hands Krishna playing the flute. Two hands Ram carrying the bow and the arrow. So he showed in those times that he is all the incarnations are there present in him. And the same with Krishna. They're all present within Krishna as well. So he is non-different from Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. So he's definitely not any less than Krishna, but he's Krishna in the mood of Radharani, which is a very special form of Krishna. Krishna in the mood of his greatest devotee, Radharani. So very special. Very special. But that's why you'll never read in Bhagavad Gita, it says Sri Krishna Uvacha. It always says Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, because Vyasadeva wants to make sure that everyone knows that that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead. And that's why it's the title of the book is not Krishna Gita, the Song of Krishna, right? It's Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad also derived from this Bhagavan. So from Bhagavan, you have the word Bhagavad. So that means this is the song or the words of God, not just, Krishna could be anybody. But, when you say God, you're talking about the supreme being, the original being, the greatest being like that. So that's very important that people make it clear. And however, only Bhagavad Gita as it is pointing it out very clearly, very emphatically that Krishna is God. And almost all the other commentators on the Bhagavad Gita have sidestepped that important point that Krishna is God. So most other commentators try to get rid of Krishna as God. And that's why Prabhupada said he felt that he had to write a commentary on Bhagavad Gita and call it as it is, to make it clear for the first time that Krishna is actually God. Although it says it in the very title of the book that this is God speaking, but most of the other commentators wipe out that point. And that was the beginning of the beginning of the purport to the last verse of the 9th chapter that we just read, the first purport, and Bhakti Mala was a bit confused about, I remember that paragraph, because, what is Prabhupada going on about? But what's Prabhupada going on about in this first paragraph of the last verse of the 9th chapter is that he's very upset. Prabhupada's, you can tell he's very upset, and he calls them unscrupulous commentators, divert the mind of the reader to that which is not at all feasible, like that. So he points out, and he says, Krishna is not an ordinary human being. He's the absolute truth. So, but that's indicating that's about, 8 lines down I've just been reading from in that first paragraph. And that's indicating, Prabhupada's saying Krishna is not an ordinary person. What is that indicating? That all these stupid commentators on Bhagavad Gita, that's what they're indicating, that he's just an ordinary person like that. So Prabhupada's the first one to point out that, I'm sorry, guys, Krishna's not an ordinary person. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada said, before Bhagavad Gita as it is, no one became a pure devotee of Krishna. But after Bhagavad Gita as it is, now thousands and thousands of devotees of Krishna. So all these hundreds and hundreds, I mean, in Prabhupada's time, I think he mentioned there was over 800 different Bhagavad Gitas, and not one of them produced one pure devotee of Krishna. Whereas you get Bhagavad Gita as it is, and now there's thousands and thousands and thousands of devotees of Krishna.
You're saying since the 5,000 years to now 4,500 years there was no devotee, because 500 years ago the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and 50 years ago that Prabhupada came. Before that there was no pure devotee. What Prabhupada said.
No, I mean,
No,
I'm talking within the last few hundred years. Yeah, before,
How-
within the last few hundred years, yeah.
Hard to believe in that, I guess.
I mean, that's what Prabhupada said.
But
That
from
yeah, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence in the last few hundred years? Even you could say, well, Vivekananda, he went to America and all that, but Vivekananda was an impersonalist, and Prabhupada said that, and you can tell by his talking that he was a Mayavadi, he was an impersonalist. He wasn't a pure devotee of Krishna. So neither was what was his guru's name? Was
Ramakrishna
Vivekananda's guru.
Paramahansa.
Oh, Ramakrishna.
Yeah,
Paramahansa.
Ramakrishna, he wasn't either. He wasn't a pure devotee of Krishna either. So where is the pure devotee of Krishna, before this? I mean, very, very rare that they'd all been misled by all these different ideas of different, mainly impersonalists like that. Impersonalism has become, so widespread. So widespread. And that's why in Prabhupada's pranam mantra, it said there, Nirvasesha Sunyavadi. So Nirvasesha means impersonalism, and Shunyavadi means voidism, which means Buddhist philosophy. So between the impersonal philosophy and Buddhist philosophy, but everyone's been misled. And there's not much difference between the two, because in Mayavad philosophy, everything is one. And in Buddhist philosophy, everything's zero. So is there much difference between everything is one and everything is zero? Both of them mean there's no variety. You get that?
But if you say
If
that
everything is one, means everything's the same, that means no variety. And if everything ultimately comes down to zero, that's also no variety. Yeah, Gulshan, go for it.
But you said that Buddha was a Krishna as well, 2,500 years ago.
Correct, but he's also in disguise as an atheist.
But how can the Krishna can be atheist?
In disguise.
Krishna's not an atheist, but
Krishna can be anything.
he was. This is 2,500 years ago. Buddha came, and he was preaching atheistic philosophy. And why that is, we've talked about it before, because the Lord was very compassionate upon all the animals that were being slaughtered at that time in the name of the Vedas. The people were seeing that animal sacrifices were mentioned in the Vedas, so they were just slaughtering animals and then eating them. But that's not actually what the Vedas talk about. What the Vedas talk about, the animal is sacrificed, yep. And then the Brahmanas would chant the Vedic mantras, bring them back to life in a new body. So the old cow or horse would be killed. Then the Brahmanas would chant the powerful mantras, and they were pure enough that they worked. And then the animal would come back in a new body. So you get a young horse or a young cow would come out of that. So there's no eating. There's no eating of animals in those Vedic sacrifices. But now in Kali Yuga, there wasn't any pure Brahmanas anymore, and they weren't able to chant all the mantras properly. And the animals killed, they're not coming back to life. And then people would just eat them. So because people were misusing the Vedas, so then the Lord appeared as Buddha, and to stop people doing that, he had to tell people that the Vedas is basically a load of rubbish. Don't follow the Vedas, follow me.
Yeah.
So he told people don't follow, because
if Buddha was a Krishna, then we have to follow the Krishna, any form Krishna, whether Buddha or whether it's Purna Avatara, whether it's a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anything with the Krishna appears, it's just a pure gold. It cannot be anything different than gold.
It's not.
Huh?
No.
Why? How come? Because
I'm telling you how come.
I'm just like
I'm telling you how come, because he was preaching to a particular class of people 2,500 years ago that were addicted to slaughtering animals in the name of the Vedas, justifying it, that the Vedas says you can do it, and then eating them. So he had to trick them. So he was actually cheating them, and it's mentioned. You can look in the Jayadev Goswami's Dasa Avatar Stotra, which ends Keshava Drita, you know that? So we say Keshava Drita Narahari Rupa for Nrsimhadev, and there's a Keshava Drita Buddha Sharira. So the 10 main incarnations, right? So you've got Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Rama, Balaram, Buddha, Kalki. So that's the 10, right?
Yeah.
So each of those, the last line is Keshava Drita, and then that particular one, Vamana Rupa, Kurma, Sharira, Narahari Rupa, Buddha Sharira, like that. So, and in that mantra to Buddha, it mentions that he came to cheat the atheists. So there were atheistic people, and he came to cheat them. But because he's God, but he's teaching a philosophy meant to cheat people. So that's not to be followed by us now. That's to be
But actually,
followed.
Can I just, I am aware of many actually Buddhists, run by Buddhists, like Chinese restaurants that are complete, like they don't do
Deepa, can't hear.
onion, they don't do garlic in its. There are many Buddhist restaurants that I know that are that are vegetarian, and they don't even they don't do onion, they don't do garlic. Then it's even I go to such restaurants actually more. Some Indian restaurants that are doing onion, garlic, and all that.
Sure.
So
So that was the next point to talk about. So the first point, he had to get them to stop killing animals. Then what did he do? So he taught, the main principle he taught was ahimsa paradharma. So that he said the supreme religion is non-violence. So he brought people away from a violent life of killing animals to non-violence. And then he taught them to be truthful, to be kind, and all these kind of things. So the original Buddhists were strict vegetarians and everything like that, and they're very humble and truthful. So what is God doing? He's bringing people away from a very vicious animalistic life, killing and everything, to becoming a decent human being. But then that's as far as he's taking them, to becoming a decent human being. They don't have any spiritual knowledge. Buddha wasn't teaching any spiritual knowledge. The first thing he had to do was bring them to be a decent human being. Can you go from being animalistic to fully God conscious in one step?
You have to go through the process.
You have to get stepping stones. So the first thing is become a decent human being. Where does the word human come from?
Human.
Humane. Human comes from humane. What is the meaning of humane? What does it mean to be humane? Compassionate. Humane means compassionate. Humane means to be compassionate. So that's what he was bringing people to, that humane, compassionate platform, because they're animals. Just like one animal eats another animal. So they were just very animalistic, vicious animals. So he brought them to that humane, compassionate platform where they didn't want to kill anything, so they were strict vegetarians. They were very truthful, very simple, not having, a lot of material possessions. So we don't want to criticize that. That's definitely a progress step forward, but they definitely weren't spiritually realized either. But he had to come step by step. God is the most intelligent person. He knows that you can't bring someone from the lowest level to the highest level in 2 seconds. Slowly, you help them to advance. Then, interestingly, after Buddha, who came next to help them to the next step? Then it was Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya came. Shankaracharya joined his criticizing me for my pronunciation. That's all right. And then Shankaracharya, then because Buddha had taken them away from the Vedas, so Shankaracharya brought them back to the Vedas. So now they've become vegetarians and compassionate. He's brought them back to the Vedas, but not with an understanding that God is a person, understanding that God is just energy. So you can't understand that God is a person all of a sudden. So first of all, understand God's energy is everywhere. So Shankaracharya brought them to that point. And then after Shankaracharya, then you have Ramanujacharya, then Madhvacharya, Nimbakacharya, Vishnu Swami, finally Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago. So each acharya is bringing them next step, next step, next step. Like, do you go from primary school to university straight away? No, you got Primer 1, Primer 2, Primer 3, then, intermediate, and then, secondary, and then tertiary, then postgraduate. You can't go straight from, 5-year-old primary school to, 20-year-old postgraduate. You got to go step by step by step by step. So that's what the Lord is doing with us. So, like that. Even within ISKCON, right? In Gaudiya philosophy, you have Kanista Adhikari, means neophyte devotee, just beginning, just starting out, doesn't have much faith, doesn't have much knowledge. And then you progress more, get more educated, more experience. Then you become Madhyam Adhikari, the middle class devotee. You have more faith, more knowledge. And then finally, when you have full knowledge and full faith, then you become Uttama Adhikari, Mahabhagavat devotee, like that. So it's not in 2 seconds anyone can become an Uttama Adhikari Mahabhagavat. Put your hand up if you see God everywhere. Did you see God in the trees and the plants and the
Oh,
fish
yeah,
and
of
the
course.
water?
Sun there, water there, everything is God's energy. How can you
I mean,
say
we're
no to
theoretical,
that?
we know that, but I'm talking about, do you see that? Do you see God within the tree? When you look at a blade of grass, do you see God?
But when I at the beach, first thing in the morning, if the girls walk in the bikinis, I can look it like that. I can see everything. Forget about the God.
I know, that's what I mean. So we're still Kanista Adhikari. We're not seeing God
I'm the
everywhere.
lowest species.
So that's what I mean. It takes time. So the Lord is slowly bringing people next. So for an animalistic person, they should follow Buddhist philosophy. But for someone that's advanced in spiritual realization, to follow Buddha is going downwards. Do you understand? For someone that has a more advanced spiritual education, to then go to Buddhism, turning to Buddhism to get your knowledge from there, is going backwards. Do you go from tertiary education back to primary school? No, you go from primary to secondary, tertiary. You don't go tertiary to secondary to primary. So for someone that's Krishna conscious to then follow Buddhist philosophy is going backwards. Everything that's in Buddhist philosophy is in our philosophy, plus more. Like vegetarianism is within our philosophy too, just like it is within Buddhism. But we have a hell of a lot more than vegetarianism and non-violence, in our philosophy, So primary school, secondary school is in tertiary education, plus more is there. That's not in primary, secondary, understand?
But Abhi Prabhu,
Yeah.
I just and to think that the whole world was in a Vedic ways way back when, and then it just got all contaminated is the word I use, and become what we are now. And when you said like if you're already in secondary school or tertiary, will you go back to primary? I think we've done just that.
Well, yeah, Kali Yuga
the
is
whole
like going back to primary
civilization.
for most people.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
from there we were
yeah,
there. The whole
yeah.
world was there,
Following Dharma. Yeah.
and
Mm,
then became. It's like, ah,
mm. Yeah. That's why they say, when we say the living entity is falling down in the material world. Actually, it said our first birth. Do you know what our first birth is when the soul falls out of the spiritual world? What's the very first birth that the living entity assumes? Which body when we first
Fish,
come to the... Huh?
fish,
some
fish.
amoeba or
No,
something.
the
I
opposite.
don't know.
That's the lowest. No, we don't start in the lowest. We start in the
Okay.
highest, Lord Brahma.
Oh,
Our first birth, it said, when we fall down to the material world, is we're Lord Brahma. Means we control the whole universe. So Gulshan Deepa, you
that's
control the universe at one
impossible.
point.
Oh
So you've
God,
come down a
serious?
long way, isn't it? To a long way to Newcastle from Lord Brahma, like that. So yeah, we can become degraded. So it's like that, if you come to the material world and you don't advance in Krishna consciousness, then you fall down further. So Krishna's
But
giving
how
you an
much?
opportunity, but if you don't take that opportunity, then you fall down further. Like, I'll give you an example. Now we have a human body. If you don't use it for a spiritual realization, then you're not going to get it next life. 100% guaranteed. If you don't use your human life for spiritual realization, self-realization, which is what it's for, if you just use it for animal things like eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, 100% guaranteed you're going to go down further in your next life, animal, bird, fish, so forth, like that. So yeah, it can definitely go down, down, or we can go up, up. That's our choice, onwards and upwards or downwards, like that. So
But how
that's
many Lord Brahmas are there? If our first birth is Lord Brahma, how
yeah.
many would there have been? That's like,
It said the number of universe, this universe is said to be like one mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds. Do you know how many
okay.
mustard seeds are in a bag of mustard seeds? So there's like
Uh,
thousands and thousands of universes.
mm.
Actually, in Krishna's Leela, one time the Brahma of our universe went to see Krishna in Dwarka, right? The Brahma of our universe has 4 heads, right? Okay. He's called Chaturmukha. He's
Mhm.
got 4 faces. And he went to the Dwarka and he's going to Krishna's palace. Now there's a doorkeeper there. So he said, hold on, mate. I have to see whether Krishna's, wants to see you. So Krishna has his butler, his doorkeeper. So Brahma waited there. And then the doorkeeper went to Krishna inside and he said, excuse me, there's a Lord Brahma standing at the door. Can he come in? And Krishna said, you go and ask him, which Brahma are you?
Oh.
And then so the doorkeeper said, Krishna's asking, which Brahma are you? And then Brahma's thinking, what do you mean, which Brahma? I'm like the Brahma, like the control of the universe. What he didn't even know there was another Brahma, so he thought this is the only universe, he's the only Brahma. So he was more confused. What do you mean, which Brahma? And then he said, well, tell him I'm the 4-headed Brahma, and then what Krishna did, he called all of the Brahmas
Oh.
to Dwarka. So then
Mhm.
the 4-headed Brahma saw the 10-headed Brahma and the
Oh.
50-headed Brahma and the 100-headed Brahma,
Oh, God.
1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million. Because each universe, the bigger it gets, you need more heads to manage. The bigger it gets, the more heads you need to organize. There's a lot of stuff to organize. So actually, our universe that we're in is the smallest of all of them. Therefore, our Brahma only has 4 heads. In most universes, they have a lot more heads.
And on this mustard seed, there is a 7 billion people. Then who are you and who am I?
No, I mean, the mustard seed is the universe, but within that mustard seed, we're just one tiny planet. I mean, look at the sky at night, right? When it's a clear sky, that's a little bit, that's just a little bit you're seeing of one universe. You know, so within that mustard seed of a universe in a bag of mustard seeds, we're just a tiny speck like that. It's just, you know, so this kind of hearing this is very important to develop what quality? Jayanti said humility. Humility is that's the very first knowledge we want to be getting in our spiritual education is humility. It's very essential. We can look at that in the 13th chapter, text 8. There's a string of 4 verses next to four verses strung together. 13th chapter, text 8 to 12. So just the very first, we don't have to read it all or anything. But what this is, these 4 verses is, oh, Bhakti Mala, good.
Humility,
Bhakti Mala, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. Okay, what we've done, Bhakti Mala, we're just talking about humility. So we've gone to the 13th chapter, text 8 to 12. So just the very first one mentioned is humility, which is in Sanskrit amanitvam. Amanitvam means humility. So what this 4 verses about, Krishna is explaining. See, the title of this 13th chapter is called Knowledge. Not knowledge. Nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Yeah, so this particular 4 verses, Krishna's explained to Arjuna what the process of knowledge is. The process of knowledge. And he compares it to a ladder. And he says the first rung on the ladder is this humility. It's very essential. If you look at the end of the verse, look what it says at the end. It's a long, many lines. It says, all of these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the English translation of the verse. It starts off humility, then pridelessness. And the last line says, all these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Then if you go to the end of the purport, it's a few pages purport. Yeah. So then just go read the last, one of you can read the last paragraph, which says, beginning from practicing humility.
Beginning from practicing humility up to the point of realization of the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead. This process is just like a staircase beginning from ground floor and going up to the top floor. Now, on the staircase, there are so many people who have reached the first floor, the second or third floor, but unless one reaches on the top, which is understanding of Krishna, he is at lower stage of the knowledge. If anyone wants to compete with God and at the same time make advancement in spiritual knowledge, he will be frustrated. It is clearly stated that without humility, understanding is not truly possible. Think oneself God is most puffed up, although the living entity is always being kicked by the stringent law of the material nature. He still thinks I am God because of ignorance. The beginning of knowledge therefore is amanitva, humility. One should be humble and know that he is subordinate to the Supreme Lord due to rebellion against the Supreme Lord. One becomes subordinate to material nature. One must know and be convinced of this truth.
So yeah, the topmost knowledge is to understand God and love God, but we have to begin from the bottom, which is to become humble. Without being humbled, it's impossible to understand God and love God. It's impossible. So yeah, this is essential to be very humble like that. Okay, so let's read this one. So yeah, we only got as far as Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So yeah, we're back to 10th chapter, text 1. So let's read the verse. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Bhuya eva mahabaho
Bhuya eva mahabhao
Shrinu me paramam vacha
Shunu me paramam vacha
Yate ham priyamanaya
Yateham prihamanya
Manaya
Vakshami hitakam yaya.
Vakshami hitakamya.
Okay,
The
translation.
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I already explained. Listen again, Mr. Arjuna."
Mm.
Obviously, he's not listening. That's why the God said, "Listen again."
Listen again, yeah.
Yeah, so he wasn't listening.
Because we get so conditioned. We get so conditioned in this material world. Conditioned by, like we've just been hearing about, proud. We become so proud. So again and again we have to crush that pride because we're so proud. So again and again we have to hear that we're the servant of God. We're not God. And then you have to hear that again. We're the servant of God. We're not God. Because it's so deep in us that we're thinking that we're God, that we're the enjoyer, that we're the controller. I mean, we might not go around thinking and talking to other people that I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. But if you just look at our psychology, how we're thinking, what are we thinking? Put up your hands if you want to be the enjoyer. If you want to enjoy. Of course, we all want to enjoy. So that's God's position. That's God's position. He's the enjoyer, but we want to be the enjoyer.
But
You
then
know,
God is the one give it the senses to enjoy it. Why did he give it the senses? He confusing us.
no, he's not confusing us. Our
Yeah,
senses
why
are
did he
meant to
give?
give enjoyment to him. That's what our senses are for. But we don't want to accept that. We don't want to accept that our senses, our body's made up of senses. Our senses are meant to give pleasure to him, to give enjoyment to God. You know, that our tongue is meant to as glorify God. You know, our our hands and legs are meant to give service to God, clean the temple, wash Krishna's pots, make garlands for Krishna. Our all our senses are meant to our ears are meant to hear his glories, our tongue to sing his glories, our nose to smell the flowers that's been offered to him, and the tulsi leaves that have been offered to him, and our
It'll
tongue
it'll
to
be it'll
taste the
be
food that's
it'll be
offered to him.
great. In this brain, if the Krishna
Mm.
can put a little chip, so we can move to the always to the Krishna and do that service to the Krishna. He put little chip in there, and then easy job done. But he put the software
But
there. Enjoy the senses.
Oh, are you
we
promoting all this artificial intelligence and robots school, Shane, are you?
Nah,
You're
I'm not
really
very
into
good in
are
technology.
you a follower of Bill Gates, are you, into artificial intelligence and
No,
robots?
definitely not. Definitely not.
No, we're not robots, so we have free choice. Krishna doesn't want robots. He wants, a free-spirited soul that voluntarily chooses to serve him and love him, not that's forced to do that like that. So, but that's the thing. It's deep in our psychology in the material world that we all want to try to put up your hands if you'd like to control things around you. So we're trying to play, that's God, that's not us. We're not in control. We're under his control, but we want to control. We want to control the weather. There's a big thing now, a debate about weather modification. There's some people that say, yes, we should try to control the weather. And there's other people that say, no, we shouldn't try to control the weather. So there's definitely a tendency that we're trying to control. We try to control the air. Bill Gates, for example, he wants to cover the sun. What a bloody idiot. I have worse language for him, but I'm just making it more mild. So he wants to cover the sun, and then he wants to spray so much chemicals in the air that it like blocks out the sun, like cover it with aerosol, spray
They
it from
they
planes and
they
that.
they
So
they
I mean,
actually talking
if that's
about.
not trying to play God, I don't know what is.
No, actually,
Yeah.
they were talking about that because of the malaria and all this, the mosquito, and a lot of
Mm,
people died in Africa and all that, in dengue and all that. So they say,
mm.
why not? They have got a process like, we can wipe out all the mosquito from the planet. Then they were thinking actually. He said, then it won't be any malaria or dengue or anything. There's no mosquito at all. But then they said, we're gonna disturb the food chain of lizard and all that.
Of course,
So
of
we
course,
might have some other problem comes.
of course,
Then
you will
no,
have other
better
problems.
not do it because we
Yeah,
don't
you
know
solve one
why.
problem, create 10 more.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
our whole mentality is we're just creating more and more complicated
Everything
to
there for the
solve.
reason.
But we've
Yeah.
we've had this a similar conversation before where this thing about that we are thinking we can control and that things like that, and to enjoy senses, it's because our souls are in essence God energy, or our the souls are the same essence as that, and therefore that
Hmm.
so we have a lot of the tendencies similar as what God has,
Hmm.
but in a
Hmm.
smaller, in minuscule
Hmm.
proportions. But
Yeah, so same
yeah.
like a father and son.
Hmm.
Father and the son has
Ah.
got some quality of the father,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And he want to become a father. He want to
Yeah.
become a controller. You got two sons.
Yeah, but I'll tell you how that I understand what you're saying. So God has a tendency to enjoy. So we're part of God, so we have a tendency to enjoy. But how it's supposed to manifest or go naturally is that we should try to make God happy. We should try to give enjoyment to God. And then when God is happy, when he is enjoying, then he'll give that enjoyment to us. So we're the secondary enjoyers. But when the problem is when you don't give a stuff about God and you just want to enjoy separately, then that doesn't work. And going back to Gulshan's example of the parent and the child, isn't it ideal, the best, that the children try to please their parents? And then when the parents are happy, then the children automatically get what they need, isn't it? But what happens if you're living under the protection, control of your parents, and you don't care about your parents? Is that going to work very well? Your parents are feeding you, clothing you, giving you a roof over your head, educating everything. You don't even acknowledge them, don't give them any respect, anything like that. Do you think things are going to go very well? You think you're going to be very happy? No, it's not going to work. So, yeah, I agree. That is within us to enjoy, but how are you going to enjoy? Actually, you can enjoy a lot more if you just put aside trying to be happy and try to make Krishna happy. And then what you find is that automatically you become happy. But if you put Krishna aside and just try to be happy independently, separately, good luck.
No
That's
chance.
the path to misery, like that. And I'll tell you even about control, right? Okay, so God is, his nature is to control. We're part of God, so we also want to control. But how can you make that work properly is that you just surrender yourself to God. Okay, you control me as you like and do with me whatever you like. So you surrender to becoming his instrument and just try dedicate yourself to serving him, pleasing him. And he feels indebted. He feels indebted that we've surrendered our everything, body, mind, and words, and everything to try to please him. And then Krishna surrenders to his devotee.
Yeah.
Then Krishna surrenders to his devotee. And you got examples of that, how Krishna comes under the control of his devotee. And what's some examples you can think of where Krishna voluntarily comes under the control, not so much under the control of the devotee, but under the control of the love of the devotee. If you 100% love Krishna, then he reciprocate that and he'll 100% love you. And if he 100% loves you, he'll do whatever you want. So what's some examples of that where we see that even though Krishna is the supreme controller, Ishvara Parama Krishna, that he comes under the control of the love of his
Well,
devotee?
the one, I don't know, his mother was his devotee. Is he come under control of his mother, Yashoda, with the
Of
love?
course. Soon we're going to be celebrating that for 1 month in Kartik, Damodar,
Oh, yeah.
Damodar
Mm.
month. Damodar Astaka, that song, Damodar Astaka, we sing that every day, is all about the pastime when Krishna comes under the control of Mother Yashoda. And she tied him up with ropes,
How can you
right?
tie Krishna with the
That's
rope? I
right,
like that.
And this book that we're reading, Bhagavad Gita, what's that about? In the beginning, what does the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the first mantra say? Where Arjuna is giving Krishna an order to drive the chariot in the middle of the armies. So
Yeah.
who's
And
ordering who? Arjuna
yeah,
is ordering
devotee
Krishna.
ordering a god. Yeah.
Yeah, Krishna's become just the driver, and Arjuna's has the better position as the
So on,
charioteer.
on that on that time, he didn't know he was the supreme personality of Godhead. In the beginning, he doesn't know that Krishna, the Arjuna.
Well, he's covered by
Maya.
Yogamaya, and he's thinking that Arjuna is his friend, like that. He's thinking like that.
Or maybe he might
So,
say the harsh word to the the chariot driver. Oh, come on, hurry up! Lazy bum, get up, get in the middle of the
well,
battlefield.
others have said before, in some places, it's said how they communicate. It's too noisy in the battlefield to talk even. So the
Yeah.
charioteer puts his foot on the driver to indicate to go left or right.
Oh,
So Arjuna is putting his foot
really?
on Bhagavan, and
Oh,
Krishna
man,
accepts that. That's
he's
love,
got no chance to go to Bhagavad Dham.
And the ultimate. No, Krishna loves that.
Yeah,
Krishna
of course.
enjoys
Yeah.
that for the devotee. A non-devotee can't do that.
Yeah.
And an ultimate example is you see pictures of Krishna offering obeisances and bowing down to Radharani. Because
Mm.
Radharani's got upset that Krishna
Yeah.
did something that upset her, and Krishna's trying to pacify her anger. It's called man. That state of her getting the gopis getting angry is called man. So they're disturbed like that, and then Krishna tries to pacify that anger by holding on to Radharani's feet. Usually the devotees hold on to Krishna's feet, but here, Krishna's holding on to his devotees' feet. I'm sorry, Radharani, I didn't mean to upset you. Please forgive me. So yeah, that's real control, but that's the control that comes out of love. Not the kind of control that we do here, where we think, you know, that I'm the most powerful person here. I'm the CEO, I'm the chief, or even like I'm the GBC, I'm the temple president, I'm the manager, I'm the big boss, I'm the chief of the family, you're all my slaves and everything. And no, and this is my house, my car, my money, everything, my, I'm the proprietor and controller. This is not going to bring us the real happiness. This is falsely we're trying to imitate God. But yeah, we're part of God. So, but there's a proper way of getting the enjoyment, as I've said. There's a proper way of controlling and everything that comes out of love and everything like that. So, and even that idea we have of being a proprietor, I think we're the owner. Instead of thinking this is my house, my car, my money, everything, how does a devotee properly express that sense of this is mine? What does a pure devotee say is mine? Does a pure devotee say this is my house, my car, my money?
No.
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 But there is something that a pure devotee says is this is mine. I'll give you a clue. It's one. And I'll say not a thing, it's a person. Jayanti said Krishna.
is mine.
The pure devotee says, Krishna is mine. That's the real use of us thinking we're the proprietor or owner. That Krishna is mine.
But then Das can't say like that. If you're a Das, if you're a servant, you can't say that it's like his king is mine. He's a servant.
No, he is. Yeah, in that case of Dasyaras, he would say, Krishna is my master. Krishna is my master. Or if you're a Sakyaras, Krishna is my friend. Or Vatsalyaras, Krishna is my son. Or in Madhurya Ras, Krishna is my lover. So that's the only thing for a pure devotee that's mine, is Krishna.
Okay.
Krishna is mine. And you can get 1,000 servants and all of them say Krishna is mine. And that can work because Krishna is unlimited. Like Krishna can have 16,108 wives, and every single wife says Krishna is mine. Krishna is my husband. And they can do that because Krishna expanded himself. So there was 16,108 Krishnas to be with 16,108 wives. And that doesn't work ordinarily.
Deepa, what do you say? Ben is mine. Can you say that?
No, definitely not.
Don't say that. He will listening in the back. You better say yes.
No, he's no chance.
You said that 22 years ago, Ben is mine. When you say I do, forgot that.
No, well.
No, I mean, we still, even a pure devotee, we still have to act out our roles in the material world. And Deepa mentioned that before, just acting like Buddha. Buddha was acting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was acting. So we also have to act out our role here. We do have a man's body, a woman's body, or whatever. So we're acting that role. But deep down, we should know that we have a different life, and that's our spiritual life. So we've got our two shoes, two different shoes we're wearing, our physical shoes and our spiritual dancing shoes.
It would save so many people in this world at the moment. There's everything's just going downhill so quickly. If people knew that they belong to God and that they were a servant of God and stop trying to make themselves be happy, try and make God happy, it would just change so much for so many people,
Of course.
And
definitely.
That's a great point. And the confirmation of that, we should look at that as the peace formula, which is where's the peace formula? Very important verse. No, Johnny said 266. It's 529. 529, the fifth chapter, 29, is the Prabhupada calls this the peace formula of the Bhagavad Gita. And part of that is exactly what Bhakti Mala said, to accept that God is the proprietor, not us, isn't it? Because Israel thinks we're the proprietor, Palestinian think, no, I am the proprietor, Russia thinks I am the proprietor, then Ukraine thinks, no, I am the proprietor. And in this way we fight, because everyone thinks that they're the proprietor. But no one is the proprietor except for God. That's the second read that.
I have to take them to cemetery. He said, look at it. That's where you are. Who's the proprietor?
Yeah, we came with nothing. We're going to go with nothing.
A person in the full conscious of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. The Supreme Lord is all planets and demigods and benefactor and well-wisher to all living entity, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
So this verse, if everyone followed this like Bhakti Mala said, then everyone would be peaceful. So beneficiary is the word we're talking about, enjoyer. Beneficiary means enjoyer. So it means if you see that Krishna is the enjoyer, God is the enjoyer of all your, sacrifices and austerities, it means your work, of all your activities. If you try to make God the enjoyer of all your activities, then you'll be peaceful. And if you see that God is the proprietor, the Lord of all the planets and everything, he's the Lord, the proprietor, then you'll be peaceful. And that he's the friend of everyone, then you'll be peaceful, But we're also thinking we're playing God's role, that we think we're the friend, that we can help. Who we can help? I can't help myself from growing old, getting sick and dying. Can you help anyone else? If I can't save myself from dying, can you save anyone else from dying? You can't save yourself from getting sick. Can you save anyone else from getting sick? So why do we act as like we're the best friend of everyone? Whatever. No, what kind of friend we are? The real friend is Krishna. That is going to bring about real peace. Like that Krishna is the real friend. One time,
The friend is the realization that to bring some realization that there is nothing to fear in death. Actually, to bring them some realization and understanding about God, and that we serve God, and when a friend in that sense, yes.
I mean, one time a devotee asked Prabhupada a question. He said that Krishna is our only true friend. And then the devotee questioned Prabhupada, saying that in another class, Prabhupada, you said that the devotee is our true friend. So that doesn't make sense. You said one side, you said Krishna is our only friend. Another side, you said that the devotee is our friend. So Prabhupada said, yes, the devotee is our friend because he tells us that Krishna is your friend. So that's the friend we can be to another person, is to direct them to God. If you direct someone to God, then you're truly acting as a friend. But outside of that, that by yourself, we can't actually help anyone. But the only help we can give is point them in the direction of God. God can save you from old age and disease and death and so forth. So that's the friend that we can be. But otherwise we're helpless, isn't it? We're so helpless. How can you help someone else if we can't even help ourselves? But yeah, this is the formula. You're correct, Bhakti Mala. It's so sad to see the world going downhill. And like Prabhupada gave the solution to all of our problems. He said, the cause of all the problems in modern day society is we have a godless civilization. So Prabhupada's point was that to solve all the problems, all you need to do is bring people back to God. Bring people back to God. If you come back to God, all the problems are solved. You don't have to separately try to fix all the little problems. Like we have a crime problem, we have a financial problem, we have a social problem, we have an environmental problem. There's millions of problems, but you don't have to look at how to solve the millions of problems. You have to deal with the one original problem. The one original main problem, central problem, is that we've turned away from God. We've turned away from God. We've walked away from God. So the solution is just to go back to God. And then you won't have any other problems. Like in that last verse, right, of this 9th chapter, if you always think of God and become God's devotee, love God, and you worship God and bow down to God, you go back to God. It means you get out of the material world, you go back to God. So if you've gone back to God in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, where is your disease? There's no disease there. Where is your old age? There's no disease. Old age. Where is the death? There's no death. Whereas you're having to work hard to pay the bills, you don't have to work in the spiritual world. Whereas the wars, there's no wars in the spiritual world. So where's the crime? There's no crime in the spiritual world. So that's the solution, is just to turn back to God. Then every problem that we have is solved. But if you don't want to do that, you're never going to solve any of the problems. In fact, the problems are only going to get more worse. Every day, every year, we continue in our path away from God. The problems are only going to get more and more and more worse. And as soon as we turn back to God, then they're slowly going to reduce. And they completely reduce to zero at the time that this body dies and then goes back home, back to Godhead. But from the very moment we start in this life, like now we have all started that journey to go back to God step by step, then our problems are slowly reducing, and they reduce to nil at that point. This body drops down and then the soul goes back to Godhead, like that.
That just reminded me of how they say in the beginning it's like poison.
Yeah.
But then it becomes nectar. Isn't it?
Yeah. So it's said that happiness in the mode of goodness, as in the beginning, it's like poison. In the beginning, it's like nectar.
That's true. They say that Meera is one of the devotee, and they give a poison to her, and it become a nectar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true
right.
story.
Yeah.
They give her a poison to kill them. It become a nectar because she was a great devotee and she was surrendered.
Yes.
Krishna.
Same with Prahlad.
Yeah.
Prahlad Maharaj. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And why? How could you say that happiness in the mode of goodness starts off as poison, though? Why is it like poison in the beginning for someone that's turning to God?
The thing is,
an austerity.
It's like a malaria. You need to be poison to kill poison. They give a poison as a medicine to cure the malaria. So it's the poison goes there, and then you cure.
Okay.
Kind of hard to give up when you're so conditioned to give up all these things.
Yeah. The thing is, we're so attached to the things that are hurting us. So when the guru tells us you got to give up the meat, give up the intoxication, illicit sex and gambling, that's like poison for us in the beginning. Or even I got to spend 2 hours chanting Hare Krishna. It's like, I know some, new devotees, they can find it very difficult to spend a couple hours chanting japa. I know personally some devotees that they really find it an austerity to chant japa. Some like it, but some just don't like chanting japa. You know, they don't. You know, I know some they love, you know, hearing classes or kirtan or whatever, but they just don't like chanting japa. You know, so it's like poison. But if you just forcibly make yourself do it, eventually you start to like it a bit, and then you start to like it a lot. And then you get to the point of like Rupa Goswami. What Rupa Goswami said, what is the use of this one tongue? How much chanting I can do with one tongue? If I had thousands of tongues, then I could really enjoy chanting Hare Krishna. Means he was enjoying chanting so much that one tongue wasn't enough. He wished he had thousands of tongues. And what is the use of these two ears for hearing the beautiful sound of the holy name? If I had hundreds and thousands of ears, you know, like that. So it means he's got so much taste for chanting Hare Krishna and hearing the name of Krishna that's not enough.
So, but it starts with faith. So, if somebody does not have faith
Mm,
in the process of chanting,
mm,
they'll probably never have some attachment, or not attachment necessarily, but they'll not have a taste. I mean, well, taste also comes later, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. I mean, in terms of you start it as a duty,
yeah.
but you'll do it as a duty also only if you have some faith that it's going to help us.
Mm,
So what I'm saying is maybe the people who don't have a taste for chanting,
mm,
japa,
mm,
they don't, probably they've not had an understanding of that faith in the chanting of the holy name. They've not realized that there is, that much power.
yeah. Yeah.
That's why they're not getting that attachment.
But the point is, in the beginning, it's like
because
you don't
you know,
enjoy it in the beginning because
if they
we're
come with the four
addicted. Let's face it.
reasons,
What's that?
if they come with the four reason it mentioned there, which kind of four reason comes to Krishna consciousness, if they come with the one of the reason, they definitely will have a taste. They will, because if you don't come with these reasons, you may not be. You said, oh, I can do it, or maybe may not be. But if you come with one of those four reasons, I'm sure you'll get the taste.
But I think it also fluctuates. I think Krishna takes us through like one of these roller coaster things, and you it's kind of like an ebb and flow. There was a time when all I wanted to do was to chant, but you know, and these days it is a struggle. I find it very hard because of circumstances, like, you know, it's like this morning, the whole morning and up to the early afternoon, I was at the doctor's with my husband. You know, there's different things happening, and the priorities and Krishna is, even now, like right now, I am very confused and I don't know what's happening, because with my husband, whether I'm going 2 weeks more, I'm technically supposed to be going on my Krishna tour, but it's kind of at a stage where things could get cancelled at the last minute, depending on how things are. And it's kind of all, I don't know what is. In fact, this was something I wanted to speak with you about, and like, what should I do? Like, I'm very, very confused. I mean, I had a conversation with Abhishek a few weeks ago, and Abhishek was saying, if you can't go, it's you know, you have to do your duty and support your husband in the way he wants. But then again, I'm thinking, is this a test? You know, who is more important? I don't know. I'm so confused at this. Like, I don't know, you know, whether so far it's still happening, but I don't know if at the last minute things get cancelled because of situations. I'm so confused. You know what I mean? I mean, it's so I don't know. It's ebbs and flows. Like from all I want to do is to chant. That was a few years ago, actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It goes
Mm.
through this roller coaster, and yeah, it's kind of all over. So it's as Krishna wants.
I've got a phone number of Jagannath. I can give it to you. You can call him. No, I'm serious. But the thing is, he doesn't answer the phone. I ring many times, but doesn't answer. But the minute he answers, I'll be depart.
Yeah.
It's up to you. I can give you that. If you answer it, you will depart from this planet. Usually he doesn't answer.
But Gulshan, having said that, also, it's really all over. I really don't know, because this Sunday, when I was just this past Sunday at the Kirtans, Bada Haridas, and I actually spoke to Jayashree Mataji. Bhakti Mala knows, she was there, because there was this surge of feeling, like this same feeling I had in me. In 2019, we started that whole Ratha Yatra in Newcastle.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And this, although in between, since then till now, various people have said, "Oh, we have to do it again," but it was, we wanted to do it again, and somehow it just never happened again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this time on Sunday, I just had this same sort of feeling that came through me, and I went and I spoke with Kalya Prabhu, and Kalya said, go into Jayashree Mataji, and technically I'm hopefully, God willing, there will be the Ratha Yatra next year. I haven't started anything yet, but it was like something came over me that I want, that it, we should try it again, to have it
if you do Rath Yatra,
so
that Abhay Jayanti will come.
That was one.
But
That
I
was
mean,
actually my main. Yes, that was.
But no, I mean,
main
if your husband needs your support and help and everything, then you should be there for him, and you don't want to just put him on the side, to organize Rath Yatra or go to India or whatever like that. So
that's fine. Yeah, that's all good. But it's it's this my Krishna tour. That's the one that will be decide in maybe in this 2 weeks. But technically, as of today, he's good. So everything's still happening. He's also planning to travel. We all leave on the same time.
Okay.
He's going to Malaysia and Tunisia. And,
oh, really? Okay.
I will go to Krishna, but that's again, it depending on his health.
Then what I would recommend is you just leave it to Krishna then, and then
yes,
if he goes on his travel. If he goes on his travel, then you can say that Krishna's ticking it off that you can go on yours. And if he doesn't because his health goes down, then you have to look after him. Then that's Krishna saying now's not the time to be going traveling. So that's automatically going to get sorted out. So Krishna will indicate which is the path to go. You can't plan so far ahead, but that's okay, That's part of Krishna consciousness. Yep.
Might leave you guys to chat because I'm going to get ready to go to the Bhakti tree. So, Hare Krishna.
Sure. Okay. Lovely to see you, Bhakti.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Glad you got on. I'm glad you got on.
Yeah. So that's part of what it means to be a devotee, to be Krishna conscious. We have to depend on Krishna, which means you don't really make too many plans. Don't make too many plans. We can make some plans that how we want to serve Krishna, like you want to organize a Rath Yatra, or, we had some plans to set up the Bhakti tree or whatever like that. But then, don't be attached to how those plans, are going to, come out. Sometimes they work. I mean, I didn't really have a plan to come back to New Zealand, but somehow or other, looks like maybe Krishna wanted me to come back to New Zealand. So Yeah, you can make plans, but don't be attached to the plans working out, exactly the way you want. Like I said, we're
Yeah.
not in control. That's Krishna consciousness understanding.
I
He's in control. Man
I have
proposes,
to
God
I have to
disposes.
I have to move my car.
Okay,
Okay, I'm in the parking.
okay.
Thank you. I'll see you next.
That's right. Yeah,
Hare
time's up anyway.
Krishna.
Okay,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Good to see
Krishna.
you, Gulshan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
I'll turn off the recording.
mm.